Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining another YouTube live interview with RKL23. First, I just want to or let me introduce myself. My name is Sophia Pascuzzo. I am the Customer Marketing Associate with RKL Solutions. And secondly, I want to give a big shout out to my teammate Laura, who hosted our last RKL23 live with Nectari. If you haven't seen it, go check it out after this video. Again, thank you all for being here. To show our appreciation, we would like to send you a small gift, but to do so, we ask that you fill out the form that should be in the chat right now, and we'll send you a short gift or small gift after this live. So before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items. As always, we would love for you to participate and ask questions throughout the chat. So for anyone that's on the desktop, the chat is going to be to the right of the video. If you're viewing us on your mobile phone, the chat's going to be underneath the video. If you cannot see the chat for any reason or it is invisible, please make sure you are signed into YouTube to be able to chat. And while you're navigating to the chat, if you'd like to feel free, put in where you're joining us from. So I'm in Northeast Pennsylvania right now. Sam and I were just talking about the weather. It's been hot and humid with some showers, but overall not a bad summer. So today we have Sam Scoblic, as I said, Senior Channel Sales Manager at SPS Commerce. Sam is responsible for driving growth through strategic partnerships. With over 5+ years of experience in the industry, Sam has worked with hundreds of customers, partners, and system publishers with the main goal of solving complex business problems through solutions, relationships, and expertise. And so now we're going to get started with some questions. So Sam, what do you do? What type of customers do you work with?
Yeah, Sophia, first and foremost, thanks again for having me. Really excited to partner with RKL on today's session. But that's a great question. What does SPS Commerce do? So when you think of SPS Commerce, we are a full-service retail organization based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We are the world's leading retail network and help connect trading partners around the globe to optimize supply chain for all of their partners. I would say to date, roughly, we have 100,000 plus companies that we work with, and there are a variety of different categories. So the types of customers we work with are retail, distribution, grocery, e-commerce, and even different marketplaces.
Awesome, great, thank you. And can you give me some examples of what kind of business problems, that SPS solves?
Definitely. Yeah, so when we think of SPS and the business problems that we solve, it really depends on the type of customer we're working with. So when we communicate with customers, we typically find them in different types of buckets in terms of their retail compliance and automation journey. So maybe they're brand new to the world. So they just started a new relationship with Target. They're very excited. And all of a sudden, Target sends them this massive compliance rule book that they have to follow to continue to do business with them. Other types of customers that we might see are maybe they're a little bit more established. So they work in multiple different channels. So Target, Walmart, maybe do business with Sam's Club and Costco. So understanding not only the compliances, but how do you navigate multiple different businesses or retailers? And then finally, too, maybe they're a little bit more experienced or seasoned in the world. So they're growing rapidly and they need more of an automated process. So doing things manual is just not scalable right now. And they anticipate growth. So they're looking for something long-term to invest in their business. So now going to your question, what types of problems do we solve in those categories? Typically the two that are most common are retail compliance. So many retailers have specific requirements and compliance standards that their suppliers need to meet. And we help them with that. So we take the lead, hold their hand, insulating them from those rule books, guiding them how to navigate those waters so they can have good relationships with their retail partners, whether it's understanding EDI standards, labeling requirements, or any other specific industry regulations that they might have to comply with. The other problem that we typically see most common that we help with is fulfilling orders, right? So how do we get from point A to point B? And we help out with this by streamlining their process by automating tasks such as order processing, maybe it's order tracking. So once it's out the door, making sure that they know where those products are going to, and then shipment notifications. And what we've seen by helping out with retail compliance and or fulfillment, those customers in whatever bucket they might be, they have an improvement in not only their order accuracy, but because of that, it speeds up their order processing and enhances what I like to call their retailer report card. So they get an A with their with their retailer, which in turn a lot of times results in more business and allows them to grow and scale. So
Great, thanks. And so say somebody's considering using SPS. Why should they do that? Why should they consider SPS?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess, again, taking a look at the landscape, I mean, in today's world with technology, and there's so many different options out there, it's really hard to choose in terms of order compliance and rule books and so forth. But regardless of the solution that you do choose, there's 7 key components that you have to have. So the first one, when you're looking to consider someone like SPS, you have to have the right technology, so that right backbone infrastructure within your business. You have to have retailer expertise, or we call them trading partners. So trading partner expertise, understanding if I'm doing business with someone like a Target, what do I need to do and what steps do I need to follow to, again, get that A, and making sure that I'm adhering to that. Then you have to build it, right? You have to connect point A to point B, make sure that that map works. You have to have the communication aspects. You have to have someone on staff communicating with your retail partners 24/7, 365, making sure that things are going good. Testing and launch, a lot of those retailers like you to prove that your solution works first. And then after that, once everything's set up, it's that post monitoring analysis and what I like to call customer service. So making sure that the integrity of your solution is working 24/7, 365. If it does break, who do you raise your hand and reach out to, right? Is it a partner? Is it a 1-800 number? Is it an e-ticket service? Whatever that may be, we all have questions. We all need help. So those are all things you have to consider. So then again, going back to your original question, is all 7 of those components are key, and it is a lot of work, and it's really hard. And then that's exactly why someone should consider using SPS Commerce, because we are what is called a full service provider, which means that we take on all 7 of those key components. So we have the technology, we have a team on staff that has the expertise, so you don't need to be the expert. We do all the design and configuration, the communication, the testing and launch, and we have an awesome Sage team behind us, not only with our partnership with RKL, but also within our company to support your customer. Whereas out there, what you might see is a partial solution. So you get the technology, maybe a rule book on how to build stuff, and then a number to call. So there's a lot of those key components that businesses are having to take on themselves. And we're not all experts. So that's where SPS can come in and insulate companies from those complexities.
Yeah, so just kind of summing up, like there's so many points in that journey, and SPS is there for every point in that
Every step
journey
of
from
the
start
way.
to finish. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I like to say we're an external arm of your company, right? We're with you the whole way and growing with you as you continue to grow and scale and really focus on what you do best, right?
hmm Very similar to RKL.
Yes, very similar to RKL.
So, okay, next question. So, how have you seen the retail compliance landscape change over the past, say, year or even 5 years?
Yeah. Well, the last 5 years have been interesting, as we all know.
To say the least.
Yes, with COVID and work from home and all that type of stuff. But in general, like, what did the landscape look like prior to COVID? I mean, especially in the retail compliance world or EDI or so forth, retailers out there were adopting a set of standards. So I know I've referenced a couple of times a rule book, but each rule book, in order to do business with them, the ironic thing is each set of standards is different. So Target may do something different than Walmart. Sam's Club might be doing something different from Costco, whether that's the EDI documents that are required, the type of communication they use, so like VAN, API, AS2, whatever it may be. So it was challenging, right? Business were trying to navigate this new, well, it's not new, but this newer world of rules and so forth. Now, on top of that challenge, you throw COVID into it, and the landscape is similar, but it has changed quite a bit. And I think the biggest change in what we've seen is consumer behaviors have changed to more of an omni-channel approach, right? We're sitting on our couches, on our phones, on Amazon.com and ordering all the Christmas presents for our entire family. And because of that, suppliers and their retailers had to be extremely flexible and willing to adjust on the fly. So whether that's instead of having someone come in and pick it up from the store, it's delivering directly to their doorstep, drop shipping, those types of things. And then with that, right, if someone orders a bunch of different things, it's making sure that all the labels, I mean, something as simple as a label is right on every single one of those packages going out the door. Maybe it's returns, right? We don't have to necessarily go into the store nowadays and return a product. We can do it again from our couch or go to a Kohl's or whatnot. So it's managing all of that inventory and workflow and those types of things. And because of this, it's really been challenging, I would say, from what we've seen with retailers and in their supplier community, and they've really had to shift on the fly. But what we have seen, I will say, is the ones that have adapted to this new world we live in the best are those that had some sort of system automation with their Sage ERP already set in stone. So they were able to accommodate those changes quite rapidly because, again, like, who knows what next week's going to look like. And those who are well equipped for those changes, we have seen have had big spikes in growth and revenue just because they're really differentiating themselves from the rest of the market and they're able to fulfill the needs of the consumer.
Yeah, great. I can definitely see that with the doorstep and ordering things online. I mean, that's definitely a big part of consumers today. So I can see how that could be really important now.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay. So from what you've seen, what are the earliest signs that a customer has indicated that it's time?
Yeah. So because everybody is in a different place, every business is in a different place of their journey. Its time can vary in terms of choosing system automation or something like that. That being said, if you are considering something like an automated solution with RKL and SPS, the first thing you actually need to do is take a step back. And when you take a step back, ask yourself, where's my growth coming from? Who are my top customers? Identifying those key relationships that you have today. And once you've identified that, determining if there's an area of opportunity to grow those relationships. And if so, how do you position yourself the right way? And once you've indicated that, and there is an area of opportunity, that would be a great time to consider something like system automation within your Sage environment, utilizing someone like an SPS to help manage those order complexities and so forth. So I guess to summarize, take a step back, really look at your landscape. And if all directions are pointing to growth and more business, that's a great time to consider it.
Great. Thank you. So why is integration so important when selecting a retail compliance provider?
Yeah, being compliant is the name of the game. Just because, again, every retailer out there has a supplier list and they stack rank them, right? They have report cards on who are the best, who are in the middle, and who are at the bottom based on a couple of different things, right? How easy it is to order with them, deliveries and so forth. And integration is super important on that because it helps businesses mitigate the manual process in different systems. So the way I like to think about it is when I was a college student, I was very much doing a report or something like that, and I'd have 1,000 tabs opened up, but bunch of different systems. I call it going tab crazy. And so as I'm flipping through each tab, typing in information there, trying to remember what was over here, that's what we see a lot of businesses doing today if they have different systems, lots of manual entry. And what happens are errors. And with errors, there's potential for chargebacks. So fines that your retailer can fine you by not doing things in that rule book, again, referencing that the way they want it. So integration is super important because it helps reduce the amount of manual processes and helps customers stay compliant with the retailers, which again, reduce those errors, mitigate those chargebacks, but not only that, just minimize disruption when they're growing. So adding new partners, maybe new compliancy things, stuff like that, but also too, they're I like to say consolidating systems. So you don't have that tab crazy browser to try to place orders and stay compliant. Everything is integrated directly with their Sage instance, has the same look and feel. So as companies are growing and hiring, and we know what the job market's like today, they don't have to be experts in multiple systems. They just need to know the business that they're working for in Sage.
Yeah, and I was going to say, kind of go with that tab crazy analogy. I know that happens to me, and I get really overwhelmed when that happens. So,
Yeah.
if you can consolidate that also it's so much easy, more easy to work with. So I can see how that's beneficial as well.
Mhm.
Awesome. So we have a kind of a viewer submission here. So
Yep.
right now, this is what the viewer says.
Yep.
Right now, I'm using EDI, but in more of a manual fashion because the volume is low.
Mhm.
When is typically the tipping point to deploy automation?
Mhm. That's a great question. Just because whenever I hear the volume is low, I always think like, well, what is low to you, right? Because for every business, low could be different. It could be one order every 6 months, maybe 5 orders a month, 20 orders a month. It just really varies. But I will say that a good rule of thumb, as you're stepping back and looking under the hood at your business and considering something like this, is a good number to start at is around either 30 purchase orders a month per retail partner, or maybe you're receiving only a couple purchase orders per month, but they have hundreds and hundreds of lines. So lots of different products and those types of things that manual process is very time consuming and daunting. And if you are in that bucket, that is an awesome time to reach out to the RKL team or someone like myself, and we can really dive under the hood and really identify, hey, this is what you're doing today. This is what your future goals are looking like. And if we are going to deploy EDI or retail compliance automation, what is the strategy for that? What does that look like? And how will that in turn impact where you want to go? The nice thing is it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So with the awesome solution that we have together is the customer can automate some things. Maybe if there's certain checks and balances that they still want to do manually, we can certainly have them do that. It's highly customizable, but it's really just dependent on who they're doing business with, what they consider I guess, a time-consuming process, but then also too, what does that future state look like?
Awesome. Makes sense. Thank you. Well, great. That's all the questions that we have today. Thank you, Sam, for all the important information and updates with SPS Commerce. For those of you watching, if you did not already register to receive reminders about this live, make sure you register so we can send you a gift as well for attending. You will be entered into a drawing for swag that will be announced at the end of September as well. So thanks everybody for joining today. You can check out our other events like the Summer of Automation series on our events page, and be on the lookout for RKL's top story in August. And with that, we're just going to close out with a short commercial break.
When you purchase a product in a store or online, you may not realize how many companies work together to get it there. And it's not just the product that changes hands, a lot of data does too. SPS Commerce allows supply chain partners to share important data about products, orders, shipments, and more, with the data accessible in our portal or from within your ERP or business system. Our full-service global team makes retail partnerships work. We ensure each party gets the data they need to run their business. That's why SPS is the world's retail network.
Great. See y'all next time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Sophia.